Hi, it's Jen from Shabby Fabrics, and we're continuing with our videos about face masks because we're all wearing them, and it appears that's not stopping anytime soon, and we're hearing feedback. I'm getting that from friends, family, and of course our customers of what they're dealing with wearing their face masks, and I continue to try to improve the face masks so that they're more comfortable. And what we're hearing right now, of course, is some people are even wearing two masks, or they want an ability to add a filter to their existing mask. Some people are saying that maybe the nose bar that they've put on the inside of their mask has broken. My husband told me that. So today I'm trying to bring all of those things together where we have the ability to adjust our mask with some beads. We'll go over that today. We're going to be I'll show you how to make the front and the back be separate on the side so that you can insert an extra filter if you want to. And we'll also be adding the nose bar channel on the side closest to our face with an opening that we can scoot that nose bar out in case it breaks, just like that, and replace it with another one. So that way, when you invest your time in making these masks, that you're not, if that nose bar does break, no problem. You'll just scoot it out and be able to replace that with another nose bar. And that's one of the reasons these nose bar packages have so many in there. I think there's even a quantity of maybe 100. So hey, if you're going to be giving a face mask as a gift, I'd love to recommend you give the face mask along with maybe 10 or 12 extra nose bars. And that way, as these nose bars flex and change, naturally they're probably going to break. They can just replace it. So just a suggestion. All right, we're going to dive into it. I'll just talk about things as we go. This is made out of a Blooming Bunch series that's on set with me. That's by Moda Fabrics. And what's fun about this is, and many people don't know, we all watched Brady Bunch growing up. Well, Marcia is the one that designed this collection, a Blooming Bunch. Isn't that fun? So instead of Brady Bunch, she called it a Blooming Bunch. Super fun. So this one, I went ahead and made with the Creative Grid face mask template. Face mask templates are the way to go. I know there's a lot of paper versions out there, but I've made so many of these. It's wonderful to be able to just cut around them with a rotary cutter, and the precision is undeniable. It's wonderful. This one, same collection, a Blooming Bunch, and I made this one with the 3-set template. So this is a great option for you as well, especially if you're going to be consistently making 3 different sizes. The Creative Grid one also makes 3 sizes. The measurements are included all in the same template. Because that one's less maybe intuitive to use, I'm going to show you that one today specifically. Now, of course, we love being able to use coordinating elastic, soft and comfortable and beautiful, and that's why we created these sets, just designed them right here for Shabby Fabrics. This is made in South Korea. It's wonderful. Each of these has a 4-yard skein of 8 different colors, 1 6-inch banded elastic, and they all come in this beautiful zippered pouch. Once you're done with that, just return that into the pouch and keep it closed for safekeeping. And this is great for crafts too. Pastels, we have brights, and of course neutrals, which work with really everything. So we'll be using those today as well. All right, I know if you're anything like me, I'm starting to see these all over the place. These are the disposable masks. As we know, the world has a trash problem. I'm even seeing them on the beaches near the oceans. I've seen that in my travels, and that's not good. These can end up in the ocean. Maybe seagulls and other animals, think they're food and could choke on this. So, hey, let's do our part in reducing the just trash that's going into the world, our world, and make reusable face masks. So all the more reason to learn how to make the best one we can, and we keep giving those as gifts to friends, families, and even just gifting them to charities who would love to bless others. All right, so I'm going to just move some things off to the side. Let's again talk about our Creative Grid template, 3 sizes. Here with the white template, it's easy to understand, small, medium, large. Inside the Creative Grid template, we have the small inner line is the small, this line here is the medium, and the outside of the template is, of course, the large. I'm going to go ahead and be using the medium today. And you'll be using you can use two fabrics. I think it's more fun. One for the outside, one for the inside. Let's start with the outside fabric first. And I'd love to suggest you might as well go ahead and place your fabrics right side together, because that's how they're going to be sewn together. It's not a requirement, but I think it saves a step for later on. As I said, that medium line is that second line here. You need to have two straight lines. So whatever you need to do, whether it's just a straight edge, make sure you have a nice, clean 90-degree corner there, and we'll place the template right inside that corner. Now, normally I use a 45mm rotary cutter, and it's no problem to make this cut here. I'll just demonstrate that. This cut, however, on this is very difficult to get right in here. For that reason, I love to recommend this 28mm rotary cutter, where it has absolutely no issue making that really tight turn right there. And these 28mm rotary cutters, they come with a replacement blade. This is a 5-pack. Just pick up one of these. There's just certain times when you're going to be cutting around something that has a pretty tight curve, where the 45mm rotary cutter is not going to make that a very easy cut for you. Once this is done, you'll do the same thing with this fabric. However, I want to give you an option. Now, before I go on to that option, you're just going to sew a 1/4-inch seam, and I've done that ahead of time, so you can just see that, just to save us some time. You're just a 1/4-inch seam, done that, okay. Remember how I showed you how on this mask, notice the back side here it's the same profile at the top, but the legs of this are shorter. I'm going to show you an option here. You can go ahead and just take your inside fabric, whatever's going to be closest to your face, and repeat the same thing. Of course, you have your two clean edges, your two 90-degree corners, and you just, again, place that and trace around it. Or what you can do, because what's going to happen here, what's going to happen once I cut this out is I'm going to go back and trim it. I'm going to cut those legs back by 1 inch. That's what creates the two different sizes. If you don't like the idea of having to discard more fabric, line up your line on the medium, and you see where it says CGR face, and right above that it says Made in the USA. Go ahead and scoot that back there. I'm still along here, and notice from this line to this line is about 1 inch. Let's go ahead and check that with our, yep, we're right there at 1 inch. It's going to accomplish the same thing, except now you don't waste any fabric, which I really love that idea. So I'm going to go ahead, not that rotary cutter, I'm so used to grabbing for it. But again, if that's confusing to you, just go ahead and cut out the template the exact same way I first showed you, and then once that's done, you would just come back and cut 1 inch off here. This was just a way to save us some fabric. Same thing, you'll come and sew a 1/4 inch here, all right? And now you can see that's what that's going to look like. So my two pieces right now are this size. So they match in this profile, but you can see this is the difference back here. All right, so we understand that part. What's next, Jen? All right, I'm glad you asked me, because I'm going to tell you right now how this is just a little bit different. Now, there's something important that you're going to want to do with this leftover piece of fabric here. And I only brought just a touch of fabric out here, but of course you're probably going to have a bigger piece of fabric. We need to create a nose bar channel, and it's best if you cut it on an angle. It's called the bias, because now it'll have more stretch. Cut this to 1 3/4 by 5 inches, and that will be the channel that will house our nose bar. Now, once you have that done, you'll just fold the two ends in, and fold that in half and press, and I've done that ahead of time just to save us a little bit of time. So now we have all of our elements ready to go. The elastic we'll get to in just a touch, that's off to the side. For now, what we'll be doing is, just like we're seeing on the back of this mask right here, we need to go ahead and fold this edge under 2 times because we don't want a raw edge there. So we'll just take that to our pressing mat rather, and I'm just going to eyeball that 1/4 of an inch and do that again on both ends. And for now, I'm just going to do it on the piece that's closest to me. So we'll repeat that. And right away, and we might even do this at the same time while we're at the sewing machine. So we know we're going to do that part. We know we're going to stitch that down. And just to minimize the starting and stopping of the video, so we're going to come in and we're just going to sew right along that line. But while we're at the sewing machine, why don't we also insert our nose bar? This is the time we'll put it in. So I'm just going to finger press this in half and press. Let me put that out of the way here. Just like that. And the 2 raw edges are going to be up. And I'm just going to put that here. Now, some people are very sensitive and they don't want to use pins at all. I feel like these masks are going to be thrown in my washing machine and dried, and any holes that I potentially put in there with patchwork pins I don't think are going to be a concern because the natural shrinkage that happens with cotton fabric. I always recommend, by the way, you do pre-wash your fabrics even before you make the mask, just because you want to get any shrinkage, the bulk of the shrinkage gone. But I don't know if cotton ever really stops shrinking. I don't know if it ever does. But if you're sensitive and you're like, you know what, I don't want to use pins at all, I don't want to take any risk about putting holes in that, by all means, use your Wonder Clips. If you're not concerned about that, you can use your patchwork pins or whatever you have there. We'll go ahead and we'll put our little mini Wonder Clips in. So we're going to do a couple things at our machine right now. Here, I'm going to sew right along this edge and then and this one. And then when I come back, here's what's going to happen with this nose bar. We're going to sew a basting stitch of about 1/8 of an inch, coming around, pivoting, coming around here. Now, once I come on this 4th side, notice this right here. I want the close-up camera to see it. Do you see how it's open right here? I am not going to go all the way up. I'm only going to go up just a touch, and I'm going to stop and back up. Go less than you think that you should, because remember, later on, when we sew the 2 halves of the mask together, we will be using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So you're only going to come up here just a touch. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to the sewing machine. I'll talk you through those steps as I go. Okay, and you can see how this is curving so nicely because we cut it on the bias. Now it's it's 1/8 of an inch. It's not much. I'll get that out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. That's kind of the peak of the mask. I'm just going to make sure, yep, we're doing good. Go ahead and stop and pivot. Stop again. Now this is the side we're barely going to close. Because we are going to come back with a 1/4 inch seam allowance later, I'm just going to come up just a touch and reinforce, because this is where the nose bar is going to come in and out as we change it out, you might even want to remove it when you wash them. I don't think it's necessary, and I don't think it's going to come out. But notice I came up just a touch. Okay, so I have the portion that's closest to my face. So we're going to now be right side together. Notice that seam is going this direction. So you want to confirm that your seam, well, first off, make sure you know where your top of your mask is. I've done that before. That's the top. Okay. We want them to be opposite. So if your seam is going this way, go ahead and give it a good press to go the opposite. We love seams to be opposite because they have a nice interlocking effect, and it helps the mask lay a little bit flatter. All right, so right sides together. We'll wonder clip again. And now we're just going to secure the front to the back at the top, not of course along the sides. That's the part that needs to be able to remain open if you do want to choose to put in an additional filter there. So this whole technique is based on the ability for you to have that option if you want to put in an extra filter there. And then again along the bottom, and we will sew a 1/4 inch. This is a full 1/4 inch seam now. Let's get a good interlocking seam at the bottom. And here, all right, let's go sew our 1/4 inch. Okay, so we only need to sew from here to here. We don't need to be out here because we're not really sewing anything together out there. Let's make sure we have our interlocking seams. Yep. So let's go ahead and turn our mask through and see where we are. And we will put the nose bar in at the very end. Now, if you've watched our previous videos on how to use a nose bar, you know, it would be in at this point. When it's kind of nice, this technique, you don't have to deal with, you know, making sure the nose bar is out of the way because you're never sewing with it in there, which I love that. All right, so let's press this nice and smooth, and that's just working your way out. We can use our point turner to help smooth everything through. Probably not necessary, but if you really want to push that seam absolutely all the way out, it can be helpful. And you see how when we sew that 1/4 inch, how it's wanting that to go, this fabric that's in the front, it's wanting to roll that edge. That's exactly what we want it to do. We are going to go with that roll and keep that going a 1/4 inch. Again, it's a visual 1/4 inch all the way down. And here as well. Just like that. What that's doing for us, and I'll show you this mask, is that way we never have raw edges. If we're going to be putting this in the washing machine, and of course that's the whole point, we don't want to have raw edges anywhere or it's going to begin to fray. So that's why we're taking these extra steps now to make sure all of these raw edges of the fabric are tucked in. Okay. So again, I want to just press this out, make sure this is all smooth. This is the Panasonic iron that I'm using, and as you can see, it's cordless. One of the cool things about that is mine at home are of course have cords on the iron itself, and I can only get so far before I have to come back. This is a really neat thing about this iron. We kind of got it on the set because it's a matter of convenience for us so that I can be anywhere on this and I'm not dragging a cord across the table and maybe disrupting anything. But we're finding customers are loving this. We now have the irons in different colors. They kind of come and go. They're very popular. So if you're wondering what this iron is, just remember that you can't, it will not reheat until it's inside here, and also has water. So if you want a steam feature, it has that as well. Just a side thing about the iron that I'm using. All right, so here's where we are right now. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to start here because I want to secure that edge. I'm going to come all the way up and over. This is again that kind of 1/8 of an inch, with the whole idea being to kind of just secure everything together, close this. So we'll go here and we're going to go here. So let's do that right now. Okay, we are on some of our final steps now. So now we know we have this raw thing out here. And as you can see, they kind of come up and meet the front to the back. Simplest way, fold that fabric to where you know it touches. It's just like right there. And go ahead and put a good firm press in that. Steam it if you want even. Now open it up and I can see my crease. I'm going to take kind of a shallow, I shouldn't say shallow, it's 1/4 of an inch here. And now I'm going to take that bigger, I can even go a little bit closer, I think. Okay. I can go even a little bit closer. That's great, we'll take it. The idea is we want to have a big enough channel that our elastic can easily get in there, move around. If you ever want to change the elastic out, you can do that. So that's the idea here. That's why we're trying to create a nice big channel. Again, we'll fold that inward to create that crease. Shallow. And then we'll come all the way over. There we go. Now when we go to the machine, we'll be closing just straight up here. Not here because we need to remain open for our elastic. If you need to scoot this out of the way, if you're worried about stitching it, go ahead and move it. Okay, so our mask, the mask portion is done. Now, hey, we can slip our nose bar in that. While we're at close-up photography, let me just show you real quick that channel. These are the nose bars that have an adhesive, because there are people that I've seen wear them on the outside of their mask. Well, we're not doing that because we just created a lovely channel on the back of our mask to put that in. So don't worry about taking that adhesive off. I've never had it come out in the laundry either. You can just leave that in. But at this point, see this channel right here? I just slip that in, just like that, all the way over, and now I can just push it down, just like that. It's now down inside where the stitches are. Even pushing it, I'm not getting it out. But once I want to remove it, maybe for washing or it broke, I simply bring it up and I push it right back out. So that's why this is a great option if you like wearing a face mask with a nose bar. All right, let's talk about the elastic. Okay, so now for elastic, I mentioned there's a couple options. So if you know you're going to be making the elastic for yourself, you don't necessarily need to use the adjustable beads, but maybe if you're giving that as a gift. So length, what length? This is a different technique than what we've done before. On the Creative Grid ruler and inside the 3-piece template set, they give some suggested elastic sizes to cut your lengths to. Here on the medium, they say 6 to 7 inches. What I find is take that measurement and just double it. I always cut 6 when I have a mask that's made with the elastic that is not running through a channel. Go ahead and cut twice the length, at least twice the length, 12 inches. So let's say that you're going to do this method. It's for you. You don't want to buy the beads, use the beads. I found this cool tool. It's called the purple thing. It's used in quilting actually to hold kind of seams in place while you sew over them. But there's this cool notch. So when I was trying to figure out how I was going to get this elastic through the channel, I just thought, well, I'll give it a try. And you know what? It's a really cool technique here for a very, just a couple dollar tool that boom, my elastic is through and I'm on my way. So if you're going to make this for yourself and you're able to fit yourself, you don't want to do the beads, just go ahead and give a little bit of a, you know, a slight little knot and try it on to find your perfect length. That's what I did here. Once I found that length, I tightened up that knot and then I just clipped the ends and rotated it inside that channel so that that part was hidden. But let's say you really want to have that adjustable ability, or you're giving it to someone as a gift and you're not sure what their preferred length is, then let me show you how to do the beaded version. And that's a really cool option. I made a mask for my dad, and I was sure I knew, well, it's my dad, I was sure that I knew the size, and it ended up being too small. And he doesn't wear it because it's uncomfortable. So there is a lot of, you know, reasons to make the adjustable version. All right, same idea, kind of. So let's talk same but different, as people say, right? So if you know you want to use the beads, here's what you'll do differently. We have white beads and clear beads available at Shabby for just a couple dollars, very, very affordable. So I'm just going to take a white bead today. Go ahead and put one end through. This is another great tool if you have any problems scooting that through. Now you'll have one bead and bring both ends up together. I'm just going to scoot that bead down there real quick. Now you can scoot them both through if you can squeeze them. If you have any problem, put one end through and then maybe put the other one and kind of push it through with this tool. Once those are through, go ahead and push both beads to the very end. So one is stacked on top of the other, just like that. We'll make them nice and even so we can adjust that out here. All right, now I am going to use that purple thing again because it's a great option, or just use something that you have at home to push this through the channel. And we will go back and I'm going to tie a knot. What's nice about this is my beads are my adjustment. I don't have to try to fit it to me now. That's why I have these beads on there. So I'll just go ahead, make sure that's good and tight, cut that, and we can rotate that now inside. Just takes a little bit of work to get it in there, but once it's in there, it's not coming out. So there we go. And you can just move your beads so that it's coming right out the side, just like that. And we'll repeat the same. I did one ahead of time, threaded it the same way. just try to tie about the same length as you did before. I got that a little lopsided there. Let's fix that. Let's do that again. This elastic is so wonderful. If you were sewing masks in the very beginning of this pandemic, you remember it was just about impossible to find elastic, and that's why we went ahead and had some manufactured. People are loving this product. It's so comfortable to wear and pretty, so you can really coordinate your project. So now we have, let's go over the features. We have our nose bar channel, where our nose bar is on this side. We know it's secure, but if it breaks or we want to take it out, we just simply slide it out that channel. If we choose to wear a filter in there just for a little bit of extra protection, we have the ability to put it in and take it out. And now we have that wonderful adjustable feature. And I'll just show you what the mask looks like, because it's always nice to see that. So if you want to adjust it, I'll press the nose bar. This is how we'll just adjust it right here for the perfect fit. So thank you again for giving me a part of your day to show you just an amazing mask that I know is going to be a great fit. And hey, we're helping to reduce the litter that's happening all across the world right now with all these disposable masks. Hey, if you haven't already subscribed, be sure to do that. Or maybe there's a friend you know that would also love to subscribe. Let them know about Shabby Fabrics. I'll see you on a future Shabby video.